Learn all about living in Cancun, Mexico from Séverine Naessens in this video interview with expats in Mexico. Tell me about you. You were born in Belgium.
Yes, I was born and raised in Belgium, and at age 24, I moved to Cancun to come here for a sabbatical for 6 months, and that will be 18 years next week.
Wow.
It's been a while.
What were some of those culture shock things that you ran into?
One of the major things, I think, is the time frame. In Belgium, if somebody says, we'll meet at a certain time, you're there 5 minutes early, right? And I guess in the States, most people are quite strict on times. And here in Mexico, they say, well, we'll meet up in a bit. And that bit can be 5 minutes, or that bit can be a week,
Right.
or that could be never. So that was a thing that it took a while to get over. I mean, there's many little things. If they say no, they mean yes. If they say yes, they actually they're not sure. If they're not sure, it's no. I mean, it's a bit of a complication thing but oh well, it's part of the fun of learning a different culture.
Why Cancun?
Scuba diving.
Oh, so you were a scuba diver for a long time?
I got my open water certification about 2 years before that. And when I came out here, at the end of my traineeship, I came down to Cancun for about a week, for about 6 days. And I was blown away by the Caribbean. And I was like, no, this is the place to be. So I decided that this would be the place to come back to.
What are you doing now?
Right now, I've gone full speed into coaching. I became a life coach almost 3 years ago.
So you've been there. How many years now in total have you been living in Cancun?
It'll be 18 years next week.
18 years.
Yes, sir.
Wow. So you're a permanent resident then of Mexico, or did you get citizenship?
I got citizenship. I got that in 2008. I requested it 2007 as Belgian law changed and allows us to adopt a second nationality.
What do you love about Mexico?
I love many things I love about Mexico. The people. I really love the community, the sense of family. Even though that I don't have relatives much, besides my mom and my daughter, I don't really have relatives here, but I have a very tight-knit group of friends I call family, which is I guess it's a very Mexican thing as well. I love the climate here in Cancun. I'm really happy with the sun. I'm not a beach bum. On the contrary, but I do enjoy the warmth. I enjoy the sun. I enjoy the sea breeze. I enjoy the variety of things that are available in Mexico. If you travel throughout the country, you can have any ecosystem you wish. You can go from the Caribbean to the desert, to the mountains, to the valley. You've got every single ecosystem. It's a very rich country. There's rich culture-wise. I love the ancient cultures that we have here at hand, especially here in this area, the Mayans. It's a never-ending learning experience on the ancestors here in Mexico, and all different tribes, if you want to call them like that, on all different populations that have been here and that are still here. There's so much to learn. There's so much wisdom. There's so much history. There's so much art. There's so much music. There's so much food. There's so many things to love about Mexico.
So you're not ready to move back to Belgium?
No way.
And in Cancun, besides this beautiful Caribbean water and beautiful white sands, what else do you love about Cancun?
I love the fact that it's a multicultural environment. I have friends from all over the globe. It's a very atypical society. It's if you on the downside, there's not much of a tight-knit society as such. But on the positive side is that you can find anything. You can get any type of food. It's like a metropolitan area, but really small.
Yeah.
So you've got the metropolitan feel, but in a very small area. However, it's not that small anymore. Cancun's got about 800,000 people officially registered here. So that's about 1 million folks. It's not a small town anymore. It's become a city.
Well, if there are over 100 in the Belgian expat community, there must be many other expat communities from
Yes.
various other countries. What
Yes.
other countries have you run into that are large? Obviously, the American
The
community and
American,
the Canadian
the
community
American,
are both very
yes.
large, but are there others like perhaps Brazilian or
The
some Latin
largest
American?
communities, the largest communities are obviously the American and the Canadian community, because we're so close by. But there's also a very large Italian community. There's quite a serious Argentinian community, Argentine community. How do you say that? um, Folks from Argentina.
Okay.
There's quite some French people around. There's a nice Dutch community. I also worked with the Dutch consulate for a while, and there's a really cool Dutch community as well. From all over here in Cancun, if I'm not mistaken, there's 30 somewhat consulates, 30 somewhat countries represented officially. So that makes for quite a serious international community here in Cancun. There's a Facebook page for Cancun expats. On Thanksgiving, we all got together, all Russians and Belgians and Americans and Canadians and all kinds of people. We just all gathered for a feast. So it's really lovely to be able to spend time with people from different kinds of communities.
Do you have as many Mexican friends as you have expat friends?
Most of my friends are Mexican. My true friends, the hardcore friends are Mexican.
Well, the fluency in Spanish has a lot to do with it, doesn't it?
I don't know. I mean, most of my Mexican friends, they're pretty fluent in English as well. So I don't think that has had much influence on that. It's just the people I've met and the people I've become friends with, they happen to be Mexican. But I don't think that was a conscious choice, though.
Well, you've obviously gotten over all those initial cultural shocks that you had when you
Yeah,
first moved to Mexico, so you're
absolutely.
pretty well integrated now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My mom tends to say that she doesn't recognize much of me anymore because I've been tropicalized. I've been Mexicanized quite a lot. But I think it's necessary to adapt to the community that you live in, because if you go against the flow, you're gonna get tired of it, and it's gonna kick you out at some point. Because if you don't integrate with the community you're in, it becomes a struggle, and it shouldn't be a struggle. You should be able to flow with it. And
Right.
well, there's stuff I can still get. Well, I don't get mad anymore about people being really late, because the people I work with or the people that I deal with, they know that I'm always on time. I cannot be late. So they know that. So they make the effort of being there at least at the latest like 10, 15 minutes late. So I've I've
Well,
I've
for Mexico,
accepted
that's
that.
pretty good.
Yeah. But it's a misconception as well that all Mexicans are always late. That's not true. I know a lot of Mexicans that are very much on time. They're very respectful of that. The thing is, you have to find them, and you will find people in Belgium that will be late. I mean, you can find people in the States that will be late. It's not just. It's very dangerous to generalize those things.
What's your neighborhood like?
My neighborhood is a very quiet neighborhood. I live close by the airport outside of town. And it's a very green area. It's a very large area. We've been blessed with quite a serious, a big chunk of land. So we've been able to sit out here in the morning. You will hear the birds fly by, and we're pretty much in the middle of nature. So it's a very quiet area.
Are you fairly close to the beach?
It's a 15-minute car ride out to the beach. So I consider this to be close enough. We don't need to be right on the beach. But we're pretty much as anyone downtown will take just as long to get to the beach as we do. So. And
you're renting a house, right?
No, it's my own house.
Okay.
We built
how long ago did you build your house?
We built the house 11 years ago.
Okay. And how big is the house?
It's big. It's 350 square meters.
Okay.
I don't know the conversion.
That's almost 3,500 square feet. Yeah. So, what do you, if someone was going to buy a house like that, I'm assuming it's 3 or 4 bedrooms and 2 or 3 bathrooms.
3-bedroom. Yes. It's this is to Mexican standards a very big house. It's not a regular standard. A regular house, like let's say a standard house would be somewhere around 100 square meters. Would be this is about 3 to 4 times the size of a regular house. And
you said you have 3 bedrooms and how many baths?
I've got 2.5 baths.
2.5 baths. Oh, that sounds very, very nice.
It is.
What would a house cost something like that? What would it cost if someone was thinking about moving to Cancun?
If somebody would want to buy property like this one, you would have to consider about $200,000-ish, depending on the area. There's areas where houses like this size are between that and double it, depending on the area of town, whether there's a pool, whether there's an infrastructure set up around it or not. I mean, there's a lot of variables that you want to take into account. But with $200,000, you can get a really decent property.
And what's the overall cost of living there? Is it fairly inexpensive?
That depends. Define expensive.
Well, that's what we always say. It depends upon the kind of lifestyle you want to lead.
Indeed. I mean, the cost of living, if you would go to the supermarket, I think if you fill up your cart with the regular stuff that you would buy back home, you would pay about the same as you would in California. Just grocery shopping, it's the cost of living. If you compare, especially right now with the dollar being that high in value for us, or the peso being that low in value for you, depends on the place you're looking at, the spot you're at looking at things, sure. The perspective. But I think that the cost of living is pretty similar to California food-wise. For rent, for example, a place like this, you would rent this in about for $1,500 a month.
Well, that's where the substantial savings are. It really is in the real estate. Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah. And the fact that the Cancun area is a major tourist destination area, I think it's number 1 in Mexico, that tends to drive prices up a little bit also.
It does. I mean, if you're looking for a residential rent, that's what you're going to pay. If you're looking for a vacation rental, that goes up to 3-4 times that.
Sure.
Because vacation rentals are a lot more expensive. But residential, you can rent a decent place for $1,000. You could have a really decent place to rent out.
Cancun is a good restaurant town.
Yeah,
also,
there's
right?
tons of food. There's all kinds of food. So you will never go hungry in Cancun. That's a fact.
It's a real international destination.
Yes, absolutely.
What do you think is the main advantage of living in Mexico?
To me, living here is the freedom I have. The way that I'm able to do business don't get me wrong, do work hard. Mexicans are very hard workers. And I mean, anywhere you set up a business, you have to put your heart and soul in it and make it work. But the atmosphere is a lot more relaxed than back in Europe. I mean, the law, business-wise, I'm talking business law, it's not that it's mellow, but it's easier to understand. It's easier to work with. There's not so many locks on stuff. I mean, you can set up a business easier. You don't need that much money to get stuff going. The Mexicans will be more open to business opportunities, and they flow more. It's like it's a more an easygoing approach to life. I think the ability and the resilience that the people have out here are amazing, and that makes the day-to-day the day-to-day stuff. It makes it a lot easier for me. That's from where I'm at, from my standpoint.
What kind of advice would you give to somebody who's thinking about moving to your town?
Somebody that moving to Cancun, I would say, before you sell everything you have, come over for 6 months. Get a place downtown. Walk around. Take the bus. Talk to people. Get to know your area. Get to know the business opportunities where you want to go. And please learn Spanish. Please do.
Great advice. Listen, it's been an absolute delight talking to you today, Séverine, and we really appreciate the wisdom that you provided our viewers of expats in Mexico.
It is an absolute pleasure to collaborate. You have a great night.